Okay.
There.
Okay, so it's really just Katie and Kara that's in view.
Yeah, if somebody has something, you could just adjust it.
So I get to play director today. Fantastic. Maybe I should call Naya.
Oh, yeah, it has to be out so that the
Maybe the sound, yeah.
Well, it's just give me a second.
Adjust it.
Yep.
Is that good?
Okay.
Until you turn.
That works.
Yeah?
Okay. Hi, everybody who's joining us online. Okay, so I just wanted to talk first about the tent because I think a lot of people are definitely like, okay, what is the vision behind it? What is it? And so just some of us here in the room already know, but just for those who are like, can you talk a little bit about it just from the very beginning? I just wanted to do that. So the tent is it really is a vision that the Lord gave me, I would say maybe 3 years ago now. And I just had a vision of a tent. And I saw worship happening underneath it, and I just asked him, like, well, what is that? What is that? That sounds so interesting. And of course I was intrigued, and I was like, what do you want me to do with this? And so after kind of just walking that through with him and him saying, like, this is something I'm calling you and your husband to do, we talked about it, and I just was like, this is kind of crazy, but he wants us to set up a tent, and he wants us to worship outside the walls, and we don't have a tent, so we kind of need a tent. And so that was honestly the first step of faith is I said, well, let's see what happens. Let's see what comes our way. And I believe the very first time I looked on Craigslist, I just searched for a tent and found the one that we currently have. And it was just totally him. It was God. And we said, okay, we have a tent. So then we started 2 years ago we started in Temecula because I think even for us, we just had no idea what it was going to look like. We had no idea, and we didn't want the whole journey has been we haven't wanted to have any of our agenda and make it anything that was an old thought. We wanted it to be the Father's heart for now. So over the 2 years, we have definitely shifted and molded to that. And I would say now, after going from city to city to city throughout our region, this year we've been in Oceanside, Carlsbad, Encinitas, Del Mar, La Jolla, Mission Bay. And we are coming up on our last one for 2015, which is downtown San Diego. And so that's a total of 7 months. And again, over this year, I think we have really grabbed hold of at least his heart over, I would say maybe just overall. And again, we're not saying like it has to be this and this and this way, but we understand a lot more than we did about it. And it's been a process, and we really, honestly, it's not about any church. It's not about us. It's about the region. And I believe so much that Father is just using it as a tool and a catalyst to just create a space where the body can come together and be one and unite and be a body in fullness with all the parts. So, and that's, I think, where we're at now, is we've really kind of understood that we want it to be a place where the body can fully function outside the walls so that we can impact this region. And I think what we have been doing with the worship inside the walls has been so vital. and now it's time to begin to go out, and that's what we plan to do. So that's a little bit. Do you guys have anything to add to that at the beginning, the
Well,
process?
just in line with what you were saying, we've grabbed a hold of the understanding that we need to hold loosely to the day and the events of the day and what happens in the day. We go in with a thought. We tend to set up. The worship music is there. The musicians are there. The prayers are there, and it coincides with everything else that Jamie's doing, that everybody else who stepped outside the walls, Jim and people that are out on the streets. It's all a part of that, but it has been a missionary, very missional, to go to each place and play our part in preparing the land and people for what's coming outside of the walls. But we have learned that God is the great interrupter, and He does it all day long. I thought this was going to happen, and it shifts. I thought we were going to have these people here, and it shifts. People can cancel on a moment, and it doesn't change His plans. He doesn't. He's not the God who says, "Dang, missed that one." You know. So we've learned that even in the first one we did in Temecula, I'll just share with you that it was the first time ever I saw a group of worship leaders anywhere, but they were out of this region, worship until God was done receiving worship. And that's what we found to be a real constant thing in all of these, is that people will worship. They may have a 2-hour set, they may have an hour set, they may have the end of the tent, but they find a place where they just can't go anymore because God goes, "I'm good. Next thing." So that's a couple things.
I just think too, the whole clarifying and purifying, even out of us, that the tent was never intended to be an event. You know, we can be a little bit event driven, you know, the go-to place, and this is the thing to do. And the reality was we were challenged with, but will we go and worship if nobody else that we've invited shows up? And we did, you know.
In the rain.
In the rain.
Not just pouring rain, but sideways rain one time. And I remember you being like, this was in Carlsbad, and I remember you being like, are you sure? And I said, Chris, I said to the Lord, even if it's just me, I will go and I will worship you.
There you go.
And you guys were there too, so that's been our hearts collectively.
Yeah.
Even in the rain.
And so the thing of it is that this is not an event, because events normally we go to get. We're there to receive in some measure. We're there to worship and fellowship, but we're there to receive. When we've been doing the ones and the burns, we have the opportunity to worship God together in the fellowship of the brethren. But going outside the walls, going into the tent, again, it's not an event. We're there to worship the Lord, but more to serve Him, to avail ourselves to Him, to let Him do in and through us whatever He wants. So really, we're there to serve. This is not a place where if you're coming to get, you might be a little, need that thought purified and adjusted. And so when we go, we're going to release the sounds and pray the prayers that Father puts on our hearts to bring our part, but to make a way for what the culmination is now, to invite the body to come and bring their parts. I can't do what Kara does, exactly what everybody in the body can do. And what would happen if we all came to the same place to just be who Jesus has made us to be, without agenda, without not direction, because we're all trusting the Jesus in each other and the direction that Holy Spirit is giving. But that we would come together in unity and know that we're here to pour out. We're here to spend our lives for the Lord within the places that He set the tent that particular month or that day in that land. We're there for that land, for that community, and we're there to just see what our God would do, to see something we haven't seen yet. And we have seen some things. Thank you, Lord. You know, but I just think in what she's saying and what it's making a way for is where we are today and what's coming for the tent downtown.
Yes.
I totally am seeing the whole thing. What I got years ago was thought it was going to be part of a writer's guild, starting a writer's guild when I got out of School of Evangelism, and then I got radically healed and everything switched and the vision became like that. It became huge. It became, God said, I want my images outside. I want what I've spoken to my prophets to be put on paper. And I just thought it was for teaching people this, but then it became like, no, this is what I want outside the walls, just like you said. And it's for images for today. It's for light for today. It's for the message of today. It's the gospel in its purity, you know. It's not the sinner's prayer. It's the repentance thing that God does. It is the good news of the gospel in its purity.
Yeah.
Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and be saved. It's to give what we've received. And I'm just so on board with this, so thrilled to just step into this, because it's truly what God is doing in the land. And and I'm just thrilled with that. Stepping into it.
Just
Good.
throw something else in here. The thing that we found is that people come from all over to these events, and people will walk up. The last one, people would walk up and sit next to the tent
I saw
and
that.
listen.
Take pictures.
Take pictures.
Video.
They're
Video.
all interested, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you see their smile turn to a frown. I'm kidding. There's only a few. We've seen some salvations. We've seen healings, absolutely. We've seen people radically brought back into the family. Not that they were ever really separated. But one of the things about this one that I find very interesting is that we've seen all kinds of people come and be a part of it, but it's usually been within the region of San Diego. This one,
Okay.
we get to have a group of friends from Orange County. This is Jim Hagan. And he and his wife lead three healing rooms in Orange County.
She's in one right now.
Okay.
And she's also a regional.
Yeah, she's regional director. They had two. They're at one, but also a network of people that are radically outside the walls.
Nice.
And they heard about this and decided, we're not meeting on Sunday here, we're meeting down there. So we're going to have the connection between Orange County and San Diego County, which has been God's heart for a long time.
And also Riverside.
And also Riverside County
And also
as
Riverside,
well.
yeah.
And this, I was just telling John this morning, this was my prayer going into this. I said, you know, for the most part, I don't really say, Lord, I would like to see this happen, because he has it so much better than my thoughts anyway, so I just let him surprise me most of the time. Because it's that way, it's awesome. But I did say, Lord, you know, we've got Orange County on board, and I lived in Temecula, and I have a heart for Temecula, and so would you just bring some people from Riverside County? Would you just cover that area and let it be like we've got all of it covered, and so when things are released, that they take that back and it goes into their land, and it's happened, and I think that, you know, that's really where we're leading to now in the discussion, is just what he does every time is always surprising to me, and I always go in, and then I'm just like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And then I leave just my mind blown, and just revelations that I just can't. I think that there's something about when we are being to the fullness of who we are, that you just cannot ever leave the same. You just can't. And there's something about when we are activated. So I believe that we have a part when we come into the body and we're worshiping inside the walls. And again, I think that's vital, and we should continue to do that so we can continue to unite our hearts, continue to fellowship, because we need to have love for one another that has to be genuine when we're outside the walls. But when we're outside the walls, that is truly who we've been created to be. We are not to be these hidden people and secluded, but really there should be no division, and we should be bold, and we should be courageous with this love, because every time I have seen the favor of the Lord on the tent, and I just feel honored. I feel honored that He would call us to do this, because there is a lot of music happening wherever we're at. We're in beaches and parks, and people come and they bring their radios. But I'm telling you, every time we start worship, people look like literally we just landed a spaceship in the middle of the beach. They're just like, what is happening over there?
Yeah.
And it's because it's worship unto God.
Right.
It's the sons and the daughters releasing this sound, and they are being called forth. And they don't know what is happening. They're just like, what just shifted? What just happened? I just came here to lay out on the beach, and I'm getting crushed in by this presence that is calling my attention. And I've seen that happen every time. And every time my mind just gets blown, and He creates a new thing in me. And I don't even go in, like we say, I don't go in asking for that. I go in to pour out. But let me tell you, He's so good, and He always creates in me.
Yeah.
And I walk out different. I walk out changed.
Well, and
It's awesome.
if I can just interject just a little bit, so I think the interesting thing for me is there's a different type of activation that happens when we're out there, and truly being living stones, and we get to be an inspiration. That inspiration comes from everywhere. There are people that are being inspired in movies, in music, in the fashion of today, in the arts, and of course we need to be that as well. So the world that doesn't read its Bible but reads its Christian, so where are they? Where is the voice? Where, and so when we show up and we get to be all of that, and we step on the scene with embodied in who heaven says we are, and we declare that over a place, then it's just an amazing mix, And the other thing that I think is really cool is that we get an opportunity to even cinch up a little bit of the knitting together of the brethren. It's like the teeter-totter of you do this and I do that, and you do this and I do that, and we get to, and sometimes it can be like, whoa, I don't know how to do that. Like, I know how to do a prophetic song, but I don't really know how to speak to people. Okay, so we need to work on that. And we get to walk that out. We get to actually live life and not be in a hole somewhere, And then we're affecting our community. And the other aspect that I wanted to say too that's really been neat for me as I've been praying about the different areas before we go in, the Lord's just uncovering the history of those areas, uncovering deposits from years before, the prayers from years before. And the amazing is like gives me chills even now. It's like, Lord, that you would allow me, like when you go in and see hidden caves, or something's hidden waters or something like that, and you just see like little gems that you feel like nobody else has laid eyes on, and the Lord says, look at this, this is who La Jolla is to me. This is who Mission Bay is, or this is what Riverside is meant to be. Let's take this deposit here and take it back over there. And that's the stuff, that's, to me, that's what kind of gets me going, and I just enjoy partnering with what God's already doing in the tent,
Yes. That's so good. And again, you want to have a heart for the region, go out and worship in these cities, and you will be adjusted. Because I even, I say, oh, I have the heart for San Diego, and then He goes and takes me on this journey, and I begin to have His heart for San Diego, and it's different than what I necessarily see and until I go into it and he shows me his heart. And I've learned so much about who our God is. And he's doing so much. He's doing so much in our region. And so that is what I'm putting the invitation out for is, the worshipers, we know how to gather and we know how to worship really well, and the worship leaders in this region are amazing, and I mean just talent aside, just have such a heart after the fathers, and we all know that there is people that are going out into their cities or their neighborhoods, like Jim and Jamie Weston, and they are doing outreach, and they are so great at what they're doing. We have artists like Diane who just paint pictures that just say no words. No words are necessary or needed, because they just bring revelation in just such a powerful way. And I just see all of that coming together. I see the dancers and the flaggers and all the parts, So what is your part? And let's learn to work together, because I think we know how to do all our things, individually really well. But can we bring all those parts together? Can we learn to appreciate each other and what we each do well, and see what the fruit is of that? I mean, really, that's what this is. So I just want to talk about all the different tents that we are planning on having. If somebody want to write them on the board, that would be great. And then that way for us in the room, we can just kind of write some things out underneath them. That'd be awesome.
Might all be one freezing.
I'm a little cold, but I'm always cold, so it's okay. There's going to be...
Wrap that on you.
You might want to hug.
You know freezing?
No, I'm okay. I'm middle of it.
I'm good.
And he's very
We'll have
happy.
a sheet things that we're writing on there.
I'm gonna go grab it.
Yeah,
right under?
that would be great. Yeah, and then just maybe a line under each one so we can just write underneath them. Okay, so we have the worship tent, which is a big tent. So you can just write that. Worship tent. Worship tent.
I got them.
And the worship tent is going to be for, of course, anybody coming that wants to worship. All of you who have flags, Laura Lee, anybody who's flagging, come and be in that tent and release your worship through that. It's such a beautiful visual. And that really captivates people. I've seen people just look like, what? Like they have never seen that. And that's really cool. And dancers, yes, dancers come and dance and release your worship. Of
They won't
course.
sit in the tent, right? Or outside.
Well,
They'll
the
be around
tent,
the tent.
yeah, the tent is, it will be just for that, so we're hoping to have that all in there, but still covered some of it. And then everyone who's coming to worship, bring your chairs, if you want to sit and just kind of be in the worship
Definitely
tent.
bring a
So,
chair.
Yeah.
You don't own one, borrow one.
Yes, bring a,
Blanket, no.
Yeah.
or a blanket is fine. Bring a blanket or a chair. And yes, that's important. Let's see. Okay, so that's the worship tent. Then we've got our healing tent. So the healing tent is going to need people who would be willing to. I'd like to just do hour at a time, so that way, if you want to do something else, you can go into the worship tent. You can do something else that you want to do, other ministry wise. But we need people to take an hour, and I would love to have 2 people in that tent for anybody who wants to come in and have prayer. And this is for people who are needing prayer for sickness, for salvation, even they want to know Jesus, anything like that. So if that's what you do, if you're just so comfortable with that, then please be a part of that, and it would be an hour. If you want to do 2 hours, that's fine, but we're just asking that you do it for an hour. And then also, if you want to be a part of the healing and you're not quite sure you want to kind of maybe go under someone who is really confident in that, I would suggest that you maybe do the outreach teams. Let's write outreach teams.
Do you need Jamie's tent for Dylan? Do you need a tent?
If he would make it available, that would be great.
Yes, he's made.
So we just, I guess,
It's a
need to
nice
get
tent.
it from him,
Yeah, we can get it prior to.
unless he's planning on being there.
There's gonna be a lot of tourists there.
Yeah, it's a huge weekend.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's-
There's multiple events going on
This
down
is
there.
Labor Day weekend. This is Festival of the Sails, which is a huge festival they do with all the ships. So again, if this is if you're like an outreach person, this is like Disneyland pretty much, because it's just going to be packed. And honestly, I'm excited because
It's going to be packed.
it's going to be packed.
Yeah.
It's gonna be,
And what better way to make an impact? So let's talk about that. Actually, just take a little side note. Parking. It is Labor Day weekend. It's going to be packed. We will be out there at 6:08. Well, no, we will be out there at 5:15 to set up for 6 a.m. We worship from sunrise till sunset.
It's
So
first come, first serve. So
Yeah.
Carpool is
What exactly is the address? Is it?
it's Waterfront Park, 1600 Pacific Highway.
it's right across the street from the Star of
Star of
India.
India.
Okay.
So this whole festival of
Star of
sales,
India. It's a
people
ship.
are going to be,
can't
they're going to be, So we need to get there early with the tents to
Yes.
get them set up.
So
to
I'm
save
not.
the space.
I'm not concerned about setup because we get out there so early that we should be able to get a really great spot, secure our spots.
I
That
just
shouldn't
don't want to
be-
leave.
Yeah, that shouldn't be
just
an issue. But for any of you who's coming out, maybe like around 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, which you are welcome to do, please know that we're going to be out there all day, and you can come, whatever time works for you. But there is an underground parking garage for the park, which is awesome. But it's $10 for the whole day. So I just want to put that out there. It's a
And
great
you can't
option,
go
though.
in and out.
Yeah, you don't want to go out in and out
They don't
though.
do
Is it even $10 on that day? They don't jack up the price?
No.
Or-
No, it's
No,
$10.
it's $10.
There's a lot of parking there.
And in the parking garage there is, yes.
There is, and then they have metered parking along the streets, but the spots are.
But then you'd have to, allow ample time for that to find a free.
Where is that compared
or
to
a-
the Star of India?
The metered parking?
The-
No, I know where
The
the metered parking
underground,
is.
again, directly across the street, underground.
The park
right
is,
under
It's
the
under
park.
the park.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, you basically pull into the park and it kind of goes under.
Okay.
If
Oh, I'm glad
you
you
show
said it
them
was under. I
a
would've been
picture
like,
of the
okay.
waterfront
Yes.
part,
Yeah, so this is the park.
and so back by the buildings would be, and then
Further back.
I think,
And
yeah,
open the corner.
or maybe back this way. I'm so
It's up
bad.
around
I'm
this
like, where am I pointing?
corner. Here's Star of India over here.
yeah.
The entrance to the underground parking is right over here
Okay.
on the street that comes down.
Yeah, it's a great option.
Star of India or
Also,
something.
the trolley is nearby,
Yes.
and a drop-in place is available. It's about a block away is the trolley. So if you guys want to park and just take the trolley
that's a good
in,
idea.
Yes.
you could do that and
That
skip
one?
the parking.
Great
It's a sale.
option is the coaster.
Yeah.
The
This is the park
coaster
that we're looking to
goes
get.
just 1 block south of the park, so you'd have to walk 1 block north. So know your north and south.
Falchion Valley Mall or Old Town.
Bring a
You can
compass.
just park your car
Yeah.
for free.
Exactly. You
And
can
go.
park your car for free. Take the coaster. It drops you off at Kettner Boulevard, which is 1 block south of the park, and then you just find out the times that work for you, and then head back.
They
Another
run pretty
option.
frequently on.
Yeah, they
weekends.
run.
On
They
holidays,
run pretty frequent, and with
frequently.
holiday schedules especially. Another option is, of course, carpool. Just send out a message and carpool with people, and that's a great option for the $10 because if you have a few people in a car and then you do the $10 car garage, it's just $2 a person or something like that.
And they do sell out. The underground parking does sell out.
I'm sure
That's
it
And
will.
I'm anticipating that it
Yeah.
will that day.
I'm sure that it will. So carpooling is great. Again, unity people, but just
I'm
find
gonna
out
try
who's
to get, like,
going.
6
Yeah.
people in my van. But
Yeah.
we got all the instruments.
Yeah, I mean,
Because you can come and we can unload.
Yeah. Oh, good.
You know.
That's good. to know,
Yes.
too.
Yeah, and then.
okay, so
Go back to
Then-
outreach.
Let's talk about outreach. Yes, outreach teams. So we will have leaders going out with the outreach, at least one leader in each outreach team. So that way, if anybody is like, I've never done outreach like that, but I really want to, and I've actually had a few people say to me, I really want to do that. Will you have leaders? Because I'm not sure. So leaders, I need you. I need you to come out and lead those who are wanting to do that. And be a part of outreach, and there's quite a few that have said that that's what they want to do, but they need leaders to lead them in it.
And there's a few different styles of
Yes,
groups going
we
out.
have a group coming from Orange County, and maybe Jim, do you want to talk about that? About
Treasure
what
hunting?
the treasure hunting that you guys do, the way that you do it.
Yeah, the way they'll actually have a prayer time just by themselves in the walls, you might say, and then they'll get words from the Lord, and they'll write them down, and then they'll make copies. And I've only gone once. It's not what I do a lot.
We do it a
I've
lot.
seen it a lot, And they'll go out and actually they'll have notes on people, and they'll see that person with that color shirt, and they'll walk up to that person, and they'll be a divine encounter. And I've always believed, we're in the holy place, right? Now we're in the holy place. Every step we take on that piece of ground is now a holy place. And that's what happens.
We also have somebody wanting to go out and sing songs over people, and we've also had artists come and paint in previous tents, and they said, I feel like this is for a little girl. We just need to go find her, and so they've had awesome experiences with that as well. So there's lots of opportunities.
We also have one gentleman who does tattoo interpretation now. He's not necessarily comfortable with people coming to, like sitting there and having people come to him like that, but he's willing. But his thing is when he's going out, that's who he looks for, because that's who he can speak to, and God uses him that way. So it's very open, it's very creative.
And then the group, from what I've understood, there's a group that is going out with the music. They're going out differently. They're going out with a guitar, they're going out with a drum, they're going out with something. And they're going to just be going out and using music and then looking for the person and ministering. So there'll be people there to pray, there'll be people there to play a guitar while it's happening to kind of soothe things. And then the only other thing I was going to do, if I may, was just ask Jim to share how they do it on the streets. Because he does 15 different models all at once.
Yeah, we do encouraging words and healing, and we just basically prophesy over people and watch the Lord crash in on them. We also draw little cards like this, like they're about this big, really simple drawings to like use them to hand to people and prophesy over people. We also do healing, just like a healing tent. That's pretty much. We can set up a tent and have people come right to us, but we also go on the fringes, like people that aren't drawn to the tent or to our area. We like have people inside the tent and then people roaming around the tent. So,
Which is good, because a lot of times people don't want to come in.
So you just go engage them and enter into conversation with them, and then it turns into a ministry opportunity. So we've seen, the last street fair we did, we saw about 35 people come to the Lord, and about 45 get healed, and hundreds, probably about 300 get prophesied to. So it was pretty powerful. So
Awesome. I love it. It's like, I think when you think about outreach, you might be used to one thing, but the beautiful picture of this is, there's so many creative ways that the Father has gifted us to do certain things, and we all have this sort of bent, of like, even for me, like with worship, I'm a particular sound. I can do probably the normal, whatever, but who I am and my bent is different than somebody else, and it's the same thing with other parts, and I love that, and it's all of it's welcomed. We want to see all that.
One of the things that I know we've talked about before, Kara, is that when we go out, we're not going out with the intention of I mean, if it comes up organically that somebody needs a home, you know, spiritually speaking, then yes, we do obviously talk about that, but we're not going out with the idea of increasing numbers in a particular church.
Right.
You know, we're not like, hey, you need to get into to a church.
Yes.
So that kind of contradicts in a way what we're doing.
Right.
We're really going out to be a presence.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly. I think again that is not our agenda. We really believe that what the tent again represents is just a regional church. And so a lot of times, I think every single time, more than once, we always get questions, oh, well, what church are you guys with?
Yeah,
And we just go, you know what? We're actually a collective group of different churches, and we're just collaborating. We're coming together to worship the Lord and just be love out here. And their whole face is just like, what? It just shifts. It literally shifts that thought of all they know of that is just
What
churches,
denomination?
right?
Exactly.
And
Where
also
you're
just that
representing
I'm there to recruit them in my church, and I want them to be,
Because there's usually a hook.
right.
There's usually something.
They're just
The
looking.
closing the
They're
deal.
expecting.
People are
The
trying
closing
to-
the deal anymore was not about bringing them into the kingdom. It was about bringing them into your building.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
or
so
getting
it's-
money.
It shocks them
There's
And-
no agenda.
that there's no agenda. And the other thing, along with the outreaches, is for us in this room and those that we're connected to, as strange as it is that we're not trying to get them into a certain church, this has become normal to us. This has become common to those of us in the room to be out on the streets, talking to somebody, looking at a waitress and speaking into their lives and watch them go into a total crying fit because God cares.
Yeah.
This has become normal to us. We have to keep in our mind this is not normal to those that will come into contact with. So keeping that in mind, and this is not even normal to a lot of places, buildings.
Christians.
I didn't say that.
I mean,
But thank you for man
But
up
that's
and
true.
doing that.
That's
It's not
true.
normal. So it's going to be strange to those that we come into contact that they're already a part of a body. And yet we get to speak into their life and encourage them in such a way that they go back to their church and are different. So it's just not
Well, one of the
common.
things we did do down at the last street fair is we had a sign-up sheet, and we said, look, we are not trying to proselytize you in any way, but if you want more encouraging words in the future, then we send out like a weekly prophetic word and send it out like mass email and say we will not share your information with anybody, only if you want to. And I've had people, as a result of that, drive down from LA to come to the street fair here in Encinitas to get prophetic words. So God uses that ongoing relation, because the kingdom is relational. So we want to think outside the box and how we can establish relationship, but not do it with an agenda. We're trying to get you to come over here, just more like we just want to connect with you. That's all we want. Just,
An email
So-
back.
Yeah, and we definitely have had people say like, hey, do you know of a church that I could get
Yeah.
connected with in this
Yeah.
area? And we definitely share information.
Yeah.
And we say, well, where do you live? And where do you, and then we'll say, oh, talk
Yeah.
to so and so. They
Yeah.
go to this church, and it's a great, great church. So again, I mean,
Just not our end game.
it's not, it's not an agenda of, well, I don't want to share that information of that church, but I really want you to go to this church. Even if they ask, our agenda is to just say like, well, where would the Lord have you be, and just share information and let that settle where it needs to settle. But I think that
Did you have?
yeah, did you have something?
I was just gonna say, when my group is like we're done with our worship slot, then I can walk over to the work outreach team and say,
Yeah, and
do you need a soaky music in the background?
Oh, that's a great idea.
You
write that down.
Leads,
I love that.
I think the other thing is too, just coming back to, because really outreach, the healing tent, will have a spiritual reading / dream interpretation tattoo tent. All of those outreach type ministries the thing that was coming to my mind to just remind and to encourage is that style is negotiable, right?
Yeah.
But we just have, we settle in and agree to the love of the Father.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
to revealing that.
And not judging.
Again, how I do it is not how Chris does, is not how Jim does it. And we don't have to model anybody's anything or follow any particular directive. If anything, the encouragement is hear Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And maybe Jim always does it a particular way, but maybe in that moment the Father says, I know you go this way, but let's go left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see what I'll do. You know, this is an opportunity, again, I just see in this the opportunity to solidify identity.
Yes.
And we were talking about earlier stretching muscles.
Mhm.
You know, we do worship. Everybody knows we do worship. But you know what? That's not all of the revelation of the love of the Father that I
Yeah.
have to reveal.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
other areas. And so like Jim, it's like, yeah, I'm going to get up there. I'm going to do my thing. But I'm also going to step out and step into these other areas that
Yeah.
are not my normal go-to. But I know that the Father has created me to be outside the walls, to do the thing, and see what He'll do in through, and not just me, but maybe even just be a support and an encouragement to those that I as a leader identify. You got the word. This person is coming towards us, and I can feel it in the spirit that you got it.
Yeah.
It's like, so let's do this. Let's talk and make a way, not only for ourselves, but for those that we're standing alongside with, you know, as they're being released into greater revelation of who they are in the Father, and that they can open their mouth, and that they can make a way for healing, for wholeness, and at the end of that, be revealers of and extenders of the love of God, because that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. And if we're not moved by love, if we're not in it for His love, you know, we're kind of missing it. But I also feel like it's these types of moments that we get even our own motives in our own ways purified.
Yeah.
And cleansed out. Why? So we can be better reflectors
Yes.
of His love, of His all. I want to see the impossible things. I don't want to have to go to other nations to see the raising of the dead. I'm sorry, it irks me. It's like, why do I have to go all the way over there?
Yeah.
It's like, it should be happening here, but there's obviously
Going after
something in how we've been being as a church that we need to be different before the Father in order to facilitate and see the thing that we've never seen before.
You want one of the
Absolutely.
safest places to practice healing and restoration? Pray for a dead person.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to tell you no. You don't have to worry about it. If it doesn't happen, it's only the two of you that know.
If they tell you anything, it'll be thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but you have the other side. They could quite honestly open their eyes. Tell you the splendors and wonders of God.
And I did want to just follow up on that. Like, I was in a meeting last night where we had that kind of weaving prophecy, and also today on the basket and the weaving. And I think it's really true. I think where we're strong sometimes, you know, we're helping somebody else and they are coming along and maybe don't seem as strong. But when we realize the Holy Spirit is leading them to do something, that when we go under and allow them to rise up, we're actually weaving.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's
true
what the Lord
submission.
is just speaking to
Yes.
right now.
Well, and I think that brings up what I was going to say too, that there's a lot of people that we're around that do a lot of things really, really well. And we all have go-tos. But we have this opportunity now to stretch, like we said, different muscles. And don't mistake, you know, that opportunity to partner with somebody, because why? Because then we're stronger together, you know? And so even though maybe, you know, I have danced before, but it's not necessarily my go-to. So if I'm standing next to Colette, I might just break out in a dance, you know, or standing next to Kara, I might feel comfortable breaking out in a song. And we need to usher that in and call that forth with each other, because it's really an opportunity to stretch those different muscles and be a better reflector of who God is, you know.
Yeah, I think dancers, you know, I love dancers because there's something about movement
and there's something about the freedom that you release. And so, you know, Colette and anyone else who's going to be dancing, I just encourage you to just be and come and be who you've been created to be, because it's going to release also just that visual of that, you know, we're not this sad party. We're celebrating as believers, and you know, being a son and a daughter is a party, and it's fun, and people want to come in and join the party, and that's what we saw in where we just were in La Jolla, that it was like a party, and people began to come in and just be like, I want to join the party, you know, and again, there's lots of music happening in different places right around us, right next to us, and they come in and they're attracted to the sound. They want to come in and sit down. They want to come in and worship with us, and the dance and you know, flagging. It just releases something so powerful. So please come and bring that part as well. We will definitely have that, and so. Yes, be praying for the dancers and the flaggers to come and release that, because there's so much that I feel like even just in dancing out in the open, you know, like I think we've kind of come to a place now where we're able to see dancing happening within our worship gatherings within the walls, but maybe outside the walls it's a little like, oh my gosh, you know, how do I do this? And I just want to encourage you, like, we've got your back, and you know, and we're praying for you. So just come and bring that and release it.
Are we doing a soaking?
Yes, I mean, if you're going to be.
Yeah, and it can be for anybody who wants to do it. Jim mentioned about after the.
The Periscope name is Army Rising San Diego, or Army Rising SD is where you'll find the streaming for this.
Jim was talking about when I'm done doing, you know, when they're done doing their worship, to go to the other tents. We're going to be doing a soaking tent, which will be very simple. It'll have a few chairs in it, and basically, hopefully, we're close enough to the main tent with the worship going that we have that constant music happening. But if not, then other musicians can come up and step in. But basically what it is there for, the main reason it is there, is for a person to come in and find a place of rest. And while they're there, a person will pray for them. But the prayer that they pray is silent. There is no words given. There are no prophetic words given. There's nothing given whatsoever. You get to pray everything that the Lord gives and watch the Lord do what He can do only. And it's really a place of restoration and rest for anybody. We will have plastic bags there. Reason being is that if a homeless person comes, they're not going to get cleaned up before they come. And so you have to have a strong intestinal fortitude sometimes. But we'll put, thank you.
There you go.
We'll put a bag down so that they can sit down on the cushion, so as not to let their essence linger. And pray for them just the same as anybody else, and bless them as they go. And if a conversation comes up out of it, that's when we're allowed to speak. Otherwise, it is just about the music playing, the presence of the Spirit, and us serving them for a moment in rest. We don't know who we get when we do these soaking tents. Sometimes we get battered wives, battered husbands. We get abused children. We get whatever the case may be. So the soaking tent is primarily a quiet tent, healing tent. Then we pick them up and take them over there.
Logistically, do we have like maybe a couple blankets or what else?
Are these like
is there
chairs,
gonna be music or somebody actually live?
The music, I'm hoping to have the tent close enough to the main tent so that that is the music that is going up. That they are
Look at
singing.
my heart and just play some so
And I would say if you want to, and then you play a couple tunes, so you play as long as you want. Yeah, I would love to have music right there in the middle of it, musicians, or even, you know, with all the electronics we have, something going up. It would be great if anybody has the ability, then bring it. But again, we want to have a place of rest, a place where somebody can come in and find some peace and get some prayer, but silent prayer, and just.
would you be interested in having a masseuse come?
Sure. Masseuse that.
Like a hand-foot massage.
Yeah.
That would like want to massage, not one of my friends does that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any restrictions
And I'm
or
pretty
anything
sure
we have to
she's
worry about.
planning on being there.
Yeah, she's licensed, right?
Yes.
Okay, that works.
If not, we can just give you a nice little.
Always helps.
Sweet. Okay, so that's the soaking tent. One thing I do want to mention about the worship tent, just so that way we can talk about this real quick and keep moving on. It's really, really awesome what the Lord has done. He has given my amazing husband. He's not here because he's just awesome and he needed to sleep, so he's resting. But he is amazing in his giftings, and he does all the sound, and he's also a musician, so he can do that as well. But he likes doing the sound, and he had this vision and this thought from the Lord to set up solar panels so that we could be powered by the sun, and we don't have to get a generator, and we don't have to go through a permit to get all that stuff, and we have power, so we have amplified sound, and it is all through the sun, which I think is so amazing, and it's really cool.
That is amazing.
Question. My
Yes.
bass player is asked about the solar power. Is enough to, because bass is probably the most, uses the most watts.
I mean, it's going to be enough power. You know, you can definitely have a bass player. We're not going to have full drum sets. We're going to have, you know,
Yeah, are you bringing?
cajon or djembe, you know, a couple guitars and a couple vocals, you know, or a keyboard, whatever. It's fine. We have enough power for that. We have enough power for that. We've already talked it out, and we've gone through the logistics of that. That's all his area. So yes.
One more. Oh, Heidi in our group plays the keyboard. Should we bring a keyboard? I've been to events where a couple people are playing and nobody wants to reset up a keyboard and a drum set, so the same one is always there.
Yeah. If anybody is bringing a keyboard and can leave it there, that would be great. Because the thing is we're in a park, so to you know, be
actually
bringing
come
out
in
and in, it's a lot more than just, you know, a building and stuff like that. So if it can happen that way, that would be really great. And then that way,
We'll just see how it goes that day.
you know, that way it can. But
Or
I
maybe
mean,
we
really,
can contact him if we can get a keyboard secured.
yeah. I mean, if we could get a keyboard secured, then we can have one there.
Maybe put it out there on the Facebook page just to make sure that everybody's.
Yeah, then we can have one that's just there, and then whoever wants to jump on. And I even feel like I love the idea of that. That's why I like having the hand drums, is because, you know, we saw even at the last tent, a guy come over and grab a guitar and start leading us in worship, and then another guy came over and started playing the violin. And, you know, I'm just like, wow, this is awesome, you know, so I want to see that happen more and more and more.
The only thing I want to say about that is that in each of the tents, we're there to set an atmosphere. And so there has to be a way made, because we kept the tent clear and we didn't have personal belongings or anything like that. The people walking around literally came and sat down to worship. And then, like she's saying, they entered in. He was from Chicago, and we gave him my my guitar, and he led us in a couple songs. And then we had another
My niece.
young guy who came and played another gal's violin, and then a brother and sister come and worship. But the point being is that we're setting the atmosphere and creating the atmosphere for the worship. And honestly, each of these tents, and we haven't talked about the prophetic art tent yet, but each of the tents are there to just set the tone and set the atmosphere. And so we really need to be mindful of the Father's intention to come and do our part, bring our sound in excellence, but at the same time know that on the different layers and waves of what the Father is wanting to do, we're just not there to worship God. We're there to worship God and shift the atmosphere. We're there to worship God and say, and come on in. And so it just, when we're considering like setup and stuff like that, it's like, maybe Joe, who's the worship leader from wherever he flew in for the sales thing, wants to jump in and play keys. And it's like, depending on who's leading worship, that may work for them, or not. But just know that we're trying to create space for people to enter into something that they haven't done before, and to see the freedom and to experience the potential of what they can do back where they came from.
Yes, and I just want to encourage all the worship leaders that are going to be a part. That will most likely happen. I'm just going based off of what's happened prior to. There will probably be people that will come in and go, hey, I play this instrument or whatever, and they are like looking at you like, what is happening here? And it's just something that activates things, and just make a way for it. I'm just encouraging you again. Listen to Holy Spirit, make a way, and I just, my prayer is that if I need to step aside so someone else can step in that I didn't plan on, Holy Spirit, have your way. And that's just, let's all just be doing that, because laying down your life is a beautiful thing. And so it doesn't have to be me all the time, and it doesn't have to be me leading a set necessarily if the Father has another thought, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, definitely let's be praying that. Another thing is, yes, the art tent. We are going to have a prophetic art tent, and this is for anybody who's an artist. Jessica will be there, I think, in the later part of the day. She's bringing some people. Yes, Jessica Dab. And so we're so grateful for that. Thank you. Diane, you will be there. I would love to have the art happening, with the worship all day long. So artists, please come out. Anybody in that area, that downtown area, that's an artist, and you're just a block or two away, or it's not far for you. If you could be there at 6 a.m., that would be so amazing. That'd be so great. Art, just visually, it just impacts people, and I want to see that really, really, out there all day long. So yeah, that'll be happening as well. And then we have an intercession tent. So intercessors, the intercession tent is specifically for you to partner with what what's happening in the worship tent and the musicians. You'll have a space for you to intercede, and if somebody is leading worship and they're singing, Lord, come and pour out your love or whatever, and you're just hearing like, okay, I need to pray for an outpouring of love right now. I need to, you're just partnering with what's happening with the worship. And intercession and worship is so important. Really, if we really come to a deeper revelation in worship as worship leaders, we should know that we shouldn't be doing worship without intercession, or somebody interceding, because there's just an ebb and flow that really it's beautiful what happens.
It goes across the board.
short story. Charles Spurgeon was once asked how he preached such powerful messages, and he says, well, it's the power room. And they asked him what it was, and eventually he took them up to a room, opened up the door, and there were the intercessors. And he says, nonstop, that's how I do what I do. And so it's that kind of a thing. It adds to, it brings synergy. It makes more of an impact. And let me tell you, the worship leaders can tell when the prayer stops.
Yes. Yes.
As all of us can.
Yes, I appreciate the intercession that goes forth for our region, and we just ask that you would bring that there, and that you would cover, partner with the Father. You know, He's going to cover everything that's happening out there, and so but you and what you've been created to do, you're going to be the watchman on the walls. You're going to be standing and interceding, and so come, because we need you definitely, and there will be a tent for you and a space for you, and there will be time slots for that, so that way we have coverage. Again, that's something definitely I would like to have from 6 a.m. to the end of the day at 7. Let's see, so I think we've got, we'll have a refuel tent, and basically that's kind of just food, water. It'll be a place for anyone who's coming and serving throughout the day to eat and leave your food and, just refuel. So we'll have that. If anybody wants to come and help with that, that would be awesome. I have
Is
a
there
time.
kids tent? I know there used to be.
Yes, there will be. Okay, I'll get to that. Let's see. So for the refuel tent, I've got 6 a.m., which is like, if you want to be a part of that, you would just kind of take something. I've got notes of just coffee, donuts, danishes, bagels, fruit. You would just bring it to the refuel tent and say like, hey, I've got coffee, or hey, I've got the donuts. I'm going to bring some donuts for you guys. That would be awesome. And then I've got 10 a.m. I just put breakfast burritos, orange juice, water, just things like that. You could come and bless those that are serving out there. That would be amazing. Then I have 1 p.m., sandwiches, chips, etc. Just things, again, for people who are serving. And 4 p.m., and I just put pizza, salad, etc. So these are just ideas. These are the time slots. And if anybody wants to head that up or be a part of the refuel tent, that would be really amazing, and we would definitely appreciate it and would love that.
Also, the refuel tent is the place where you would put your personal belongings. The reality is it's flat, and there's nothing out there. So just we want everybody to be able to fellowship. But again, remembering that the other tents are there to set an atmosphere. So if you're chit-chatting or you set up shop in front of the healing tent, people want to come and pray, but they can't because they can't get past the believers who are fellowshipping. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just be mindful and help those who are there get a different value or an additional value for why they're there. Sometimes we forget and we just kind of go into automatic pilot. Hey, it was good. I haven't seen you in so long. That's awesome. Reconnect over there in that tent, and don't distract, but just be encouraged. The thing of it is, again, if you want to bring your own chairs, maybe an umbrella, it's hot. So the other tents, like the worship tent, is kind of, it's big. And it provides a lot of shade, but why is the worship tent there? The worship tent is there to be a catalyst to invite others in. That's not the place to set up shop and set your stuff down and plop your behind down. Not that that's bad. We all need to refresh. We all need to refuel, and that's why we're providing this other space so that people are putting their personal effects there and landing there and not in the other tents. We don't want anybody, again, to not feel like they can't come in and get healing or soak,
Yes, very much so. Just be mindful of that. Again, in any worship setting within the walls, you probably wouldn't go into the main sanctuary and, have a full-on conversation while worship's going. It's the same way with the worship tent. We just ask that you guys, just be mindful of that. That's all. And we are very much wanting for fellowship to happen and for you to, have a conversation with someone that you see or whatever. But do it in the refuel tent. Get your food in the refuel tent. That's the place that you can do that. But again, remember why we're there, and let's be just about where we're at. And again, it's fine, refuel, and just there'll be a place for that. So thank you guys for being mindful of that. Kids tent. There is a kids tent. Let's see. So for the kids tent, we would ask if anybody's coming and bringing kids, this would be a place for them. The waterfront park does have water fountains, so they're welcome to play in the water and all do all that fun stuff.
So
just
bring
please,
towels.
yes, bring towels, bring sunscreen.
That's
But just please make sure that you're watching your children. They are welcome in the worship tent. They are welcome anywhere as long as they're very aware of what's happening in those tents. But the kids tent is specifically so that way they can still be who they are at their age and be ministering as well. Yeah. So they have a part. They can come and do crafts and pray with other children. And it's a great opportunity to teach them about ministry. It's a great opportunity to show them that their part is not small. And they can be a part of everything that's happening as well. Yeah. So there will be crafts happening. There'll be art happening in that tent.
Hopefully face painting.
Hopefully face painting, yes.
Maybe balloon animals.
Maybe balloon animals. And we are working on hopefully getting some supplies. School supplies.
Been to Mexico before.
To bless
Really? You
people.
really can do it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I hear there's a lot of
puppy dog.
YouTube videos out there, so if anybody wants to just hop on YouTube and figure out how to do balloon animals.
My dog.
Yeah, I actually know how to do very simple balloon
Mouse.
animals.
I do abstract.
Kara's hidden
A crown. I was going to say you can get a crown.
It's my hidden
Head
talent.
maybe on the foot.
Round sort of.
So basically, the next time I'm leading worship, I'm gonna start,
Making-
adding.
You need one of those aprons.
I'm gonna
with
add
the
that in.
balloons
I'm
all
gonna prophesy,
I'm gonna prophesy with the balloon animals.
That's.
I like it.
Hey, let's just be creative. I don't know.
Sword of the
Actually,
Spirit.
I think that there is somebody who does that. I forget who. Somebody was telling me that their friend does that. That they used to, anyways. They would make prophetic balloon things.
Oh yeah.
And then they
Well, it's
would
a great conversation starter.
They would, they would
I like
speak
it.
to the people that they'd make it for and go, I feel like the Lord said to make you this. And I was like, that's awesome. I would love it. That's so cool. So yeah, the kids tent will be so fun. And if you have a heart for children, definitely step into that tent and just, again, ask Holy Spirit. And there will be moments for you to pour into children. And the San Diego School District, I believe, will be going back to school that next Tuesday for the district. So if you have any school supplies, we're still collecting those. We'd love to bless people with them, just tangibly, and say, well, His Hands and Feet are collecting for that. But if you're not able to get to any of the leaders for His Hands and Feet, then you can definitely give them to myself or Lynette Lisk or Katie Mangle. And we can get them to the park that day, or you can bring them that day. That's fine, but we'd prefer for you to get it to us beforehand so we can see what we have, and organize and things like that. Also, again, you can donate to His Hands and Feet, and they will purchase the school supplies themselves. And I just think that that's a really great way to bless people tangibly because they're expensive. So it'll be really great.
And for the kids tent, if you would like to have a heart for children, or the heart of a child, it's also a good reason to
You can be a kid.
Yes.
just saying.
Get your
the
face
San
painted.
Diego Unified school calendar, it starts on the 8th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There are a lot of schools in San Diego that have already started. Some have already started, and some will start before the 10th. But that San Diego Unified District starts on the 8th, so
Yes.
right before.
Right. So that's the reason why I was saying to maybe be able to do this, because there are schools that haven't started yet, and maybe there's those parents that are like, oh Lord, how am I gonna pay for my child's school supplies or whatever, because it's a definite need. It's definitely a need.
And I know at Target, there in the school section, there are handouts of what each school is requesting parents to get for their children. So if you're wondering what to get, should I get a ruler? Should I get a calculator? A bunch of pencils? I mean, obviously bring whatever you can, and I'm saying this for online too. But bring whatever you can. But just know that there are lists out there too that can help figure out, where the resources could be best used.
Yes, that would be great. I know one of the meeting places, again, I'm just throwing this out there, just a thought. If you're going to be coming to the worship that's happening August 29th, I can definitely, gather anything and, meet you in the parking lot, and we can that can be a gathering place. I know a lot of people are planning to come to that. So if you can get school supplies before then, or you want to donate, then we could definitely do that. That's a great meeting spot. So you have some time to do that before then, and we can gather at that time. Setup crew and tear down crew. Setup crew is at 5:15 a.m. We do have people that have already committed to that, so thank you, Lord, for them. That's very important. We want to make sure we're up and ready and setting the space and, good to go. Tear down crew would be around 7:30-ish, 7:15-ish. It just depends on when the Lord's done. And anybody is welcome to help with that. Please help with tear down. Yes. It is very much appreciated.
It gets dark fast too.
It does.
So,
it gets dark fast.
Especially down there.
And so, if we have more hands, it can be super, super quick. And a lot of the tents are pop-ups, so they come down easy. It's not that long. It's really the big worship tent. And my husband has that mastered pretty much of the setup and how to tear it down. But he appreciates help because it's usually him all by himself doing it, and I love him for that because he's just so amazing. Yes, he is. Daniel Rill is his name. You can give him a hug. He likes hugs. Okay, so last but not least, we got the shofar team. I am very excited about this. The shofar team, though, has to be up and there at 6 a.m. because I would love to begin the day with blowing the shofars over the water right there where the ships are, and begin our day with that. So if you have a shofar, if you're able to come out, that would be amazing. And we're just praying and believing the Lord for that. He showed me that vision, and I'm just believing that those shofar players are going to come out and be a part of that. So you would have to be there again at 6 a.m. And you can leave and come back, but that's when we would be doing it. So,
I'm not the right person to ask this.
Shofar, yes, shofar team, yes, 6
a.m.
And I believe that is all of the tents, everything that's happening. Again, it's a lot that's happening, but we are a lot of people.
It's purposeful.
It's purposeful. It's
This
very
one is
intentional.
very intentional. We've gone up and down the coast and inland, but this one has to do. Side note about governmental in San Diego. We will be amongst the buildings. We will be anointing buildings and praying over and doing all that while we're there. We're right next to government buildings.
That's very interesting that you said that. Cause
it is very governmental.
The word I got.
Yeah. It has to do with all of this other preparation, not just with the tents, but everybody, all the ones, everybody that has been focused on changing their cities. We are now at the seat, and we're not going to take it lightly. So this is all to reach out, to give the love of God, to be all that, but we do not want to leave there without them knowing that the bride has been there. And we want it to be different when we leave. So
this is setting a table. Again, we don't have an agenda, but we're trying to make a way for what is in the Father's heart. So we're setting the different tents to meet the different various needs and styles. And the invitations have gone out. We don't know actually. We know, like you guys, are going to come, but we don't really know who's coming. And so that makes it kind of
that's always
interesting. But all we can do is set the table, put the invitation out, let the intention of the Father's heart be made known, and let those that hear the call for the different areas and the different things that are in the Father's heart to come and be that in that area.
And let's be intentional too, like even on the way in, you know, like be intentional, like if we're stopping to get something to eat, and as we're going out, you know, blessing the businesses and stuff like that, you know, being willing to make purchases there and blessing the owners and that kind of stuff too.
There's food around the area, guaranteed. There's a little, anybody that's been to one of California's beaches will find the food huts, you know, that people have down on the, well, there's one there at the park, and it would be awesome to bless them like crazy. There's a coffee place across the street over by the Star Inn. It'd be awesome to be able to bless them like crazy. There are already going to be a lot of people, but to pray blessings over the individuals in the buildings and where they're at. I mean, and honestly, this is what I found to be genuine about the tent times. It doesn't make a difference if anybody shows up.
Mm-hmm.
If there is one person there and that tent is set up, God's plan.
Yeah.
He's going to get done what he wants to get done through one or none, or through the many. But it has never made a difference. It's not about numbers. It's about setting the table. It's about being obedient to what he's called us to do, and then just watching it happen. Because there are people that will come in, they'll drop off. There are people that will say yes, and then they say no, and then they say yes again, and then they say no again, and then they say yes, and next thing you know, you don't see them. And the next thing you know, at 5 o'clock, they're there. You know, it doesn't matter. It's all, he's got it. He's got it. But setting the table, being obedient, we have seen incredible things happen.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm, like I said, I'm honored to be able to do this, and the Lord has been talking a lot to me about recently, just about authority and favor, and you know, if somebody is feeling like this is what the Lord has called them to do as well, and to go out, I would say do it. I would say do it. Don't hold back. If he's telling you to do it, because there's authority in it and there's favor, and that's what I'm seeing everywhere we go. Is he said to go where he has said to go, and we've done it, and nobody has ever shut us down. Nobody has ever come over and, you know, said that we can't do this or that, or, and again, I'm not saying that that you should go and do exactly what we're doing, you know, wherever, and because God will cover you. I'm saying that if he says to do it, there's authority and there's favor, and we have seen his favor, and we have seen the authority that's been given to go into these cities when he said to go, and that's very, very intentional. You know, we go every month and we say, okay, Lord, we're going to be in La Jolla, or okay, we're going to be in Encinitas, and it's because he has given us authority for that day,